Hello, my dear students. In my last video, I had explained meaning, definition, scope, features, advantages of auditing. I hope you have understood it. Now, the next aspect to be studied is objectives of auditing. Let me introduce myself first. I am Dr. Prajna Mattihalli, working in Government First Grade College, Dharwad, Karnataka. Dear students, objectives means aim. For what reason any business unit need to be audited? Why the economy, the society wants to have auditing? We are having accounting for the recording purpose of the business transactions. Then why should we go for auditing? This is the basic question to be asked. Come, let us understand what are the objectives of auditing. Why auditor undertakes the work of auditing. Here, let us go and understand one after the other. See, objectives are being classified in different way. Objectives may be main objective, secondary objective, or specific objective. What is the main objective of auditing? Then what do you mean by secondary objectives of auditing, or what are specific objectives? Let us understand it in a clear manner. Again, the secondary objective is classified into three types. That is, mainly that is two types. That is regarding the errors, which is called as detection and prevention of errors. Another one is detection and prevention of frauds. What is the main objective? It is to understand whether the business unit is showing a true and fair view of the balance or not. Whether the business is giving you, is recording correct and fair view of the business or not. That is to know the authenticity of the accounts. That is the main objective of auditing, we can say. As I have already told you, as a secondary objective, we look at the detection and prevention of errors. Again, this objective is reclassified into four types of errors. Errors are of four types: clerical error, or compensating error, or duplicating error, or error of principle. These are four types of errors. And how about the frauds? Frauds are of two types: misembezzlement of cash, misappropriation of goods. And we can add one more thing as misappropriation of accounts. Now, to look into the error, as I have already mentioned you that it may be clerical error. Clerical error may be error of omission, error of commission. What is this error of omission? Again, it can be classified into two: partial omission or complete omission. So this is the broad view of classification. Let me explain one after the other in detail. We are now telling about the meaning of error. What is this meaning? What do you mean by error? According to SAP 4, Standard Auditing Practices, which are issued by ICAI, that is Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, issues standard auditing practices, that is called as SAP, and SAP 4 tells you that any unconditional mistake or misdescription in the books of accounts of records is called error. It says it is unconditional mistake or misdescription in the books of accounts. These errors may be clerical error, compensating error, errors of duplication, and errors of principle. Let us understand it one after the other. What is clerical error? The very word says you that clerical means it is mistake. Who does it? Clerk. Who is a clerk? Who undertakes accounting work. He commits the mistake and it is called as clerical error. It may be committed while recording the transaction in the books of original entry. I hope you know what is the books of original entry? Journals. So, what are the mistakes which happened in the journals? They are called as clerical errors. It may be happened in case of original entry, that is in journal, or posting to ledger, or while totaling, or while doing the balancing of the accounts. So in all these situations, this mistake might be happened, which is called as clerical error. It may be error of omission or commission. Two types of clerical errors do happen. Error of commission means it takes place when transaction is wrongly recorded. So wrongly recorded transactions are called as errors of commission. Then what about the errors of omission? First, let us understand this errors of commission with the help of examples. Wrong entries, wrong calculations, wrong carry forwards, wrong postings, wrong balancing, wrong totaling, and wrong additions. While adding the numbers, there may be some mistake. These all are called as clerical errors. That too, errors of commission. Errors of omission is different. Error of omission means it occurs when a transaction is not recorded in the books of accounts, either wholly or partially. It may be intentional or unintentional, or due to carelessness. If any clerk is negligent, if he is careless, there may be omission. That means the entry is not made. He has forgotten to do the entry. The entry is not recorded. Then it is error of omission. Error of omission may be partial or complete omission. If part of the entry is recorded and the other part is left out, then we call it as partial omission. If complete entry is forgotten to be recorded, then we call it as complete omission. Just to think of a situation when there is a purchase and the entry is made in the book of cash but not recorded in the books of purchases. Then it is partial omission. If it is totally forgotten to do only, the clerk has forgotten to record the entry, then it is complete omission. If the entry is made but wrongly, 10,000 transaction has been recorded as rupees 1,000, then it is called as error of commission. That is wrong entry, wrong posting, wrong carry forward, wrong balancing are all errors of commission. If you have forgotten, that is called as errors of omission. Omit. You may be using the word omit in your day-to-day life. What you have kept inside is coming out, that is omit. You are leaving the object outside. So you are leaving the entry, that is error of omission. Here, let us go into detail of it. What is this next error? Error of, that is clerical error, maybe errors of omission, errors of commission. Compensating error is also one type of clerical error. What is the compensating error? Compensating, you may be knowing the word. You may be heard of compensation. Who are, that is for the sake of death happened in case of floods. Usually government distributes the compensation. What is that? That is the amount which is given for the loss. Here in case of entries, one mistake is done. You have to compensate it. You have to rectify it. Or you have to redo it. How you can do? With compensating entry. See, it arises when one error is offset or counterbalanced by another error. Sometimes we do error, suddenly we will be frightened of, and by afraiding we do one more error to rectify it, to compensate it, or to counterbalance it. But error is error only. Then there are two errors now. One is the original error and another one is the compensating error. It does not affect agreement of trial balance. It is difficult to detect also because somehow it is managed, it is balanced, so easily it cannot be detected. Therefore, auditor has to take care of such things while auditing the books of accounts. Then comes another one clerical error, error of duplication. Duplicate means double. What is this? It arises when the same transaction is recorded twice. Instead of making the entry, now the clerk is doing the entry 2 times. Why? Because he has forgotten that he has made the entry. He thinks, oh, I have forgotten to make the entry. Okay, let me do the entry again. So he has made the entry already, which is forgotten by him. So he is doing one more entry now. This is error of duplication. Bhul chand bhul jane wala. The clerks, if they have forgot about the entry, and if they do it for next time, that is for second time, then we call it as error of duplication. Then comes last one, that is fourth one. As I have already mentioned you that the clerical errors are of four types. Errors of commission, errors of omission, errors of duplication, and errors of principles. What is this errors of principle? The word says you that it is the error of principle of accountancy. That is the rules and regulations of accountancy. It arises when transactions are not recorded in the books of accounts according to the fundamental principles of accountancy. I hope all of you know it. What are the fundamental principles of accounting? Debit the receiver, credit the giver. Debit what comes in, credit what goes out. And debit all the expenses and losses. Credit all the income and profits. This is the basic principles of the accounting. If you go against to this, what you are supposed to do? You have to debit what comes into the business. Instead of debiting, you are crediting. You are making one credit entry. When you have make the sales, for example, 10,000 rupees sales, what comes into the business? Cash. And what goes? That is the goods. Now you have to make the entry, that is debit entry of cash. Instead of that, you are crediting the cash book. In the cash book, you are making credit entry. That is against to the principles of accounting. So it is errors of principle. Like this, we have understood all four types of errors which are committed by the clerks. So it is called as clerical error. And what next? That is, see here, we have given the examples of errors of principles. Wrong allocation of expenditure between revenue and capital. My dear students, I believe you have already learned it. What are the revenue expenditures? What are the capital expenditures? The expenditure which occur in the day-to-day life of the company, which occur frequently. They are called as revenue income and revenue expenditure. But huge amount which is spent only once in the lifetime of company or rarely occurring type of income or expenditure is called as capital income or capital expenditure. So think of this situation. For example, salary. Every month you have to distribute the salary. It is a revenue expenditure. Income, you are receiving the income. That is, for example, rent you are receiving. Every month you receive rent. So it is a revenue income. You are selling one building. So there is only one building with you and you are selling it. A huge amount is received. So it is income, no doubt, but it is capital income because it does not happen frequently. Only once in a while. Usually company make such kind of things. So capital expenditure is only once in a while it is being done. And usually it will be of huge amount. So always capital expenditures, capital income should not be taken to the regular accounts like trading and profit and loss account. It should be entered in balance sheet. Instead of making this, you are considering the capital expenditure and as good as revenue expenditure. Then it is wrong allocation. which is called as principal error. Ignoring outstanding assets and liabilities. Outstanding assets or outstanding liabilities. What is this? Outstanding income, outstanding expenditure. That is, you are supposed to do the payment, but it is not being done. That is called as outstanding expenditure, outstanding income. You are supposed to receive the rent of this month, but due to Corona, for example, during the COVID-19, 6 months rent is not received, but it is supposed to be received. Now it is not received means it is outstanding income. If you have not paid your rent, that is outstanding expenditure. If you are not considering this, what happens? You are ignoring it, you are neglecting it, you are not considering it. Then automatically you are considering the income or expenditure, whatever it is, you are considering only for 6 months in a whole year, wherein you are supposed to considering 12 months rent. You are ignoring outstanding one. Automatically your income or expenditure becomes for only for half the year. So it is a mistake, which is called as errors of principle. Valuation of market price, which is higher than the cost price. What is this? Cost price means book value, what you are showing. For example, land or building. Here you are considering the market price, which is higher than the cost price. In the market price, for example, building or the land may be costing as 5 crore. But in the book value, it is just 1 crore. Whatever the difference, why it has happened? Because we have considered it as valuation at the market price. Automatically, profit differs, loss differs. This is errors of principle. Insufficient provision of bad and doubtful debt. As we know that every business has to make some provisions for bad and doubtful debts. Customers, when we are selling at credit, they are supposed to give back the amount, isn't it? That is the creditors or our debtor. They are the debtors for us. So these debtors, when we feel that there is a doubt where they may or may not pay it, then we have to make provision for it. If in case of the non-repayment, then we will not be in a position to suffer the loss. For that, we have to make some provision for bad and doubtful debts. If it is not sufficient at all, then business has to suffer. And it should not be the case. It is against to the principles. Not providing outstanding expenses, provisions for outstanding expenses is also to be made. All these are called as errors of principles. Okay, fine. Now we have discussed about the clerical errors. And also certain kind of errors. All the things about the errors are over now. And now we have to understand the meaning and types of frauds. As I have already told you, secondary objective of auditing says about 2 things: detecting and prevention of errors, detecting and prevention of frauds. Now we have understood everything about the error. Now let us go to know about the fraud. What is fraud? First question. Fraud means false representation made intentionally or without belief in its truth with a view to defraud somebody. Defraud, to cheat somebody with the intention of cheating. You are doing some false representations intentionally, then you call it as fraud. If it happens mistakenly, we call it as error, because in error there was no intention of cheating. It happened without the knowledge. By mistake it happened. So we called it as error. But fraud is not like that. Fraud is made. It is not done. It is made with the intention of cheating, with the intention of making profit. There is false material of fact. It is made with prior knowledge. Knowingly it is done. Intention, what was the intention here? Is to deceive, cheat, or mislead. So I hope you have understood the difference between error and fraud. Now comes, what types of frauds are there? SAP 4, issued by ICAI, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, says fraud is committed in 3 types: misappropriation of cash, misappropriation of goods, falsification of accounts. Let us understand one after the other. Misappropriation of cash. It is also called as embezzlement of cash. It means wrongful conversion or fraudulent application of cash belonging to others by a person to whom it has been entrusted. Who is the person to whom it is being entrusted means, for example, cashier. Who is a cashier? Cashier is one to whom cash of the bank, cash of the office, cash of the shop is entrusted. Okay, Mr. Cashier, I am keeping my cash box with you. You have to take care of it. What you are doing here? You are entrusting the dealings in cash to the person, the cashier. Now, he wrongfully converts it for fraudulent acts. To whom it belongs? Belonging to others means it belongs to the owner, someone else. And the person, the cashier, the cash does not belong to him. He is entrusted with. He is just taking care of it. But fraudulently he makes advantage. So it is called as misappropriation of cash. And misappropriation of goods. What is it? How you have made the profit out of cash, in the same way you can do something in case of goods also. Wrongful conversion of fraudulent application by those who handle the goods. Who handle the goods? They are fraudulently, that means intentionally, just to cheat their owners. They are mishandling it. Examples: recording larger quantity than what is actually supplied and dealing balance privately. For example, now we are making a sales of 10,000. But I am doing the entry of 1 lakh. Why? Because I want to make profit of 90,000. Now 10,000 I am keeping in the cash box and 90,000 I am keeping in my pocket. Why I am doing so? Just to deceive my owner. Supplying more goods than stated in invoice and privately receiving money. Supplying more goods but making the entry here for the lesser amount. Therefore, the amount what is received, I will take the advantage of it. How much I have entered, only that amount is kept in the cash box. And the exceeding amount is kept in my pocket. Misappropriation of goods, misappropriation of cash, and manipulation of accounts. Here, neither the cash nor the goods, but the accounts are manipulated. The entries are made wrongly. But my intention here is not to take the cash, not to take advantage of goods, but something else. What is that? Usually, manipulation of accounts will be done just to show one large amount of profit, just to deceive the owners. Now, the management decide to show hefty profit and it wants to deceive the shareholders, saying that, okay, good amount of profit we have made, but originally, truly, profit is not so much. Here, manipulation of accounts gets committed by topmost management officials, such as directors, managers, etc. It usually involves huge amount. And since higher officers are involved, topmost management officials are involved, they do it intelligently and auditor cannot detect it easily. It's very difficult to detect as it is done cleverly. So it is called as manipulation of accounts. So we have now studied the misappropriation of cash, embezzlement of goods, and manipulation of accounts. 3 types of things now we have understood how it happens. And here, auditor, what is his responsibility? We have understood how cleverly even the topmost management people undertake the misappropriation or manipulation of accounts. Then the poor auditor, he has to detect. Now we have appointed him, isn't it? And we have given him the objective as to understand whether the entries are right or wrong, whether the assets and liabilities are rightly stated or not, whether the profit and loss account is showing correct balance or not. Okay, Mr. Auditor, find out the errors, frauds. We have appointed him. Now, we have to ask a question. Who is the auditor and what are his responsibilities? To what extent we can made him as responsible? Auditor is a watchdog, not a bloodhound. See how beautiful statement is given. I am purposely underlining this statement because most of the case study questions will be answered with the help of this statement. Whether the auditor is responsible for it or not, there will be the question like this, and you have to answer in the light of this statement. Auditor is just a watchdog. What is watchdog and what is bloodhound? You may be having some pet animals in your house. So if you are having a dog with you, that is a watchdog. What is the duty of a watchdog? Just to watch, just to bark at the most, isn't it? But what is a bloodhound? Bloodhound is a trained dog, which is meant for catching the animals. Even there is no mistake of the animal. Bloodhound is a dog which will be the after that particular animal, and it catches because it is meant for that kind of activity. Here, auditor is not a bloodhound. He is just a watchdog. He has to detect errors and frauds to protect the interest of his client. That's all. He has to, no doubt, he has to find out the errors and frauds because he has to protect his client. But while doing so, he need not be a detective, just like a bloodhound. He need not be a detective. He need not be very suspicious. That means you might have seen the detective with cap, cigar, overcoat, coming with some background music, looking here and there, always suspicious. He's smelling, he wants to smell. Okay, where is the crime? Here is the criminal. I have to find him out. That will be the attitude of a detective. Here, we are not talking about the detective. Auditor is not a detective. He need not be too suspicious. He need not start his work with the prejudiced idea of a suspicion. Okay, I have been appointed means here is a crime. Here definitely is some misappropriation of cash or goods. I have to detect it. Oh, there will be manipulation of accounts from. So I should be very suspicious about the management. No, it is not the attitude of the auditor. He is just a watchdog. He has to verify the accounts, but with good intention. An auditor is not an insurer against errors and frauds. He is not giving any assurance that, okay, I have been appointed as an auditor of your company. So don't worry. Here afterwards, there will be no crime. There will be no error, no mistakes because I am the auditor. No, he is not giving any assurance. He is not an insurer. Just he watches, he verifies, he finds out, and there may be some errors or frauds beyond it. He, in spite of his verification, in spite of his detection, in spite of his auditing work, there may be some frauds left out. There may be some frauds undetected. There may be some mistakes which are not found out. If it is left out, you cannot make the auditor as responsible. I hope the point is very clear and you have understood. So if the question is asked in the form of case study, you have to answer carefully, saying the statement that auditor is a watchdog, not a bloodhound. So if there is a mistake or if there is an error or the fraud, you cannot blame for that. You cannot make the auditor as responsible for it. So, my dear students, with this kind of analysis, let me complete this video here itself. And in my next video, I am going to discuss about the classification of audit. So, I request you to give me the feedback for improving myself. And if anything to be clarified and or explained, please give me some hints so that I can improvise in my next videos. Okay, read the auditing. You have to be very possessive about it because the subject is very interesting. As I have mentioned in my last video, auditing is not only for the sake of examination. It is quite interesting. You have to read it for your knowledge also. It helps you even in your future, even for your further studies, higher studies. Auditing will be a good subject to study many more things. So I request you all to study and to appreciate the subject. Okay, um, let us conclude this video here itself, and in our next episode, let us learn some more things. Bye. Take care.